Hey guys, and welcome to Woodzman Adventures. I am out today. I am on Montezuma Pass in southern Arizona. Beautiful views out across here, all the mountains. But today I'm out riding to try out the Garmin Zumo XT2 and the Garmin Handlebar controller. So I've been using the Garmin Zumo XT for years, and now I'm going to try out the Garmin Zumo XT2 and the Garmin Handlebar controller. So as you see, here is the Garmin Zumo XT2. Here is the Garmin Handlebar controller. I got it nicely placed right here where I can actually see it really good. This should work great the way I got it mounted. So this is pretty cool because you can do a lot of the controls of your Garmin Zumo XT2 with this handlebar controller. So what I have done is I connected the Garmin Tread app to the Garmin Zumo XT2. I made myself a route, and then whenever I start the Garmin Zumo XT2, all of my routes and tracks will sync to this. So the first thing I want to do is show you, go to Maps. And what I have set here on this control is I like to be able to see my trip data over here on the right side. So this top button, if I press it once, now I can see my trip data. If I want full screen, because I don't need the trip data, I can push that and I'll have full screen map. If I hold this down, that will save the location of where I'm at. And then if I click on it, I can actually name this location, this waypoint, whatever. I can name this location. I can change the map symbol. I can add it to what collection, and I don't want to right now, so I'll delete it. Okay, so as far as the buttons here, if I click the plus, then it will zoom in on my map. I can zoom way in. I can hold it down or press it each time, and it will zoom out on my map. And then you can see everything out in here, all the camp spots, Forest Service stuff here. That's Forest Service camping there. So pretty cool. You can even see all the peaks out here, all the mountain peaks, like Pat Scott Peak, Fort Huachuca. There's Sierra Vista. And if you look right here, you can actually see that is the border of Mexico. This is Mexico over here. Over here is United States, Arizona. So if I click this button right here at the bottom, I've got it set to where it shows bird's eye. Now, of course, to do bird's eye, you will need to download the bird's eye maps, which is no problem, pretty easy. You can get on here as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi and download the bird's eye maps. Click it again. We go back to the regular map. Now, if I'm worried about touching this screen and messing up any of my settings, or sometimes these things, if you're out in a hard pour down rain, the raindrops hitting it is kind of like thinking that your finger is tapping something. So if I hold this button down, I have it set to lock screen. So it says touch screen is now locked. Hold it down again. Touch screen is now unlocked. So that's how I got my button set up, and you can actually go in here, just go into your apps right there, go to Handlebar Controller, and it shows you each button and what the functions are for each button. If you want to change one of those buttons, you just click on it, change it to whatever you want. This is just the settings I have, I kind of like. So what I did is I got on my Garmin Tread app. I made a route for me today to try out and got it set in here. So to go to it, I want to go to Explore. I made a few actually. This is Montezuma Pass to Mexico border over there. This is Montezuma Pass to Van Horn. I found this Van Horn on the map, and I thought, well, we'll see what that is. We'll see how this will go to this Van Horn, which is off out in the sticks out in there around the other side of that mountain. So we're going to click on Van Horn. Okay, so after I clicked on that, now I can actually see my route from the Montezuma Pass. The flag over here is the finish, which should be Van Horn Spring. Okay, when we click that, we can click Start at Montezuma Pass or closest entry point or Van Horn. Well, we're at Montezuma Pass, so we're going to start right there. Now we can see the full map again. We can click Start, and it's going to navigate us to that. So we're going to get on the road, try this thing out. I like this remote because it's so easy, because when you're riding and you don't want to take your hands off the bars, especially if you're in rough stuff, then you could just push these buttons without taking your hands off the handlebars. So that's a really good safety feature to have. And I can actually, if I'm riding out there and I find a good camp spot that I want, well, then I can save that camp spot right here. So it tells us our arrival time is 11:29 a.m. I want to click on this top button because I like my trip data over here. It tells me the time it is now. Arrive in 17.2 minutes. Our direction we're headed right now is west. So let's go ahead and get on the road and see how this works. And as I said, this is the first time that I've used the Garmin Zumo XT2 off-road or on the CRF 300L. I did use it on the Gold Wing, and man, I'm telling you, I really love this thing. It's really good. They've done a lot of upgrades from the XT to the XT2, and in my opinion, it's definitely worth it. So let's head this way, and we'll just follow this route. I used this on the Honda Gold Wing, as I said, and I had it connected on there with the Garmin Zumo R1 radar, which is a blind spot and rear view detection of vehicles, and it's got a couple lights. I got them on my mirrors. I mean, you could even put them on a DUALSPORT if you wanted to. And it lets you know when somebody's in your blind spot coming up behind you or beside you, and it works absolutely flawless. It's a really good unit. And you can see the lights on it, or you can actually see it on your GPS or your phone. So, as long as you got a Garmin Zumo XT2 or a phone that's compatible, like an iPhone or an Android. So I have the Garmin Zumo XT2 already connected to my Senna. So it gives me turn-by-turn directions, and I actually used this and tried it out on the way up here, paved road up to here into the mountain pass, and it's dirt, and this really works good, and it's got a larger screen. It's a 6-inch screen, and the Zumo XT1 was a 5.5-inch screen, so it's a little bit bigger, and it makes a big difference. Beautiful views out across here. I always love coming over Montezuma Pass, and different times the views are awesome. It's really cool to come out here when there's some storms out of there and you can see the rain going across, the monsoon rains. Really cool. So I don't leave this set on bird's eye. Bird's eye is okay, but the bird's eye is more for if I stop somewhere and I want to view the area, satellite imagery of the area, then I can put it on bird's eye and I can see what's around. It kind of shows, you know, houses or anything that's around the area, looking at it with the bird's eye. As far as navigation with the bird's eye, I don't really care for that. I like just the standard maps. I do like the contour lines in there, so, and the topo. I like the topo because you can see those lines on here, and those lines, the further they are apart, the flatter the ground is. The closer they are together means the steeper the terrain. And this screen too on the XT2 is actually brighter than the Zumo XT. So you can definitely notice the difference in the brightness, even though on my Garmin Zumo XT, I never had no problem with the brightness. It was plenty bright. Now, to use the Garmin Zumo XT2, you do not have to have this controller at all. But if you have this controller, it will only work with the Garmin Zumo XT2 or like the Garmin Tread 2. It won't work with the XT. So, because it's a different configuration, it's a mount that is 12 volt. On the Garmin Zumo XT, in the wire, it actually has a 12 volt to 5 volt DC converter, which this one don't have. This is 12 volt directly to this. So this Garmin Zumo XT2 will work on the Garmin Zumo XT mount. If you already have a Garmin Zumo XT mount, this will work. I'm not talking about the controller. But this Zumo XT2 will work on the Zumo XT mount because this has an input of 5 volt and an input of 12 volt. It has both options. The Garmin Zumo XT will not work on here, and that's because it only works on 5 volt. This is only 12 volt, so it won't work. Just so you know. But when you buy the Garmin Zumo XT2, you do get the 12-volt mount with it. And if you want to use this handlebar controller, it does not come with the mount that you need. For this setup, you need the Garmin Zumo XT2, you need the Garmin handlebar controller, and you need the Y adapter for this. There's a Y adapter, which is basically a whole new mount with a splitter cable in it, so you can plug in this handlebar controller. So you need 3 components to make this work. And I will post links to all 3 components below where you can check them out. So the cool part about it is I just go through here, I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I can save the spot that I'm at, add it to my collections, which, like I said, I like to go out here, and if I find a good camp spot, I like to save them so I can be riding, click on it, and still keep riding. If I'm on the XT or the XT2 without the controller, I pretty much have to stop and click on it and change all that. But right now, just to save it, I can click that button and save it, and we can keep on riding. So it says my arrival time is 10 minutes and 22 seconds. As I mentioned earlier, I like this trip data on the side, and you can actually go in here by clicking on it, and you can change each one of those. If you don't want the time up there, you can click on time, and you can change them to what you want. So you can put where it shows the coordinates, the heading. You can put all different kinds of things in there on each one of them and change all of them to whatever you want it to be. Now if I click on this, my speed right here, which shows 21 miles an hour, if I click on it, it actually brings up my data here, and I can see all of this stuff. Trip A, how far I've been going. Trip B, arrives in, the distance. I mean, it tells everything on here, lots of stuff. So I'm definitely digging this controller. I really like this, that I can sit here, push on that, and I can zoom in or zoom out on the map. Really cool. I can also set this to the map to north up or track up. I like track up because I like it to turn and to be going the way I'm actually going. I don't care for the north up. If I want to know which direction I'm going, it says right there I'm headed west right now. If I click this button on top and turn off my trip data, you can still see the direction you're going even though it's not on the screen, like the W. But if you look at this arrow, that arrow is always pointing north. So we know north is this way, south is back behind it that way. So now we're headed pretty much west. And you got definitely a bigger map whenever you don't have the trip data on here. I don't always use the trip data, but I do like it. This thing is labeled really good too, showing us what roads they are, all the labels on the roads. And this maps actually show all kinds of roads out in here. If I zoom this out, where you can see there is tons of roads out in here. They're going everywhere on this map. So in this video, I'm not showing how to use the Garmin Tread app or Explorer or anything. Basically, I just wanted to show the Zumo XT2 and the Garmin handlebar controller. I want to get more familiar with the apps and all the stuff about setting it all, and then I will make a video showing the app and how to save your tracks and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be going up toward those mountains somewhere up here shortly. It's talking to me, telling me that I'm going to turn right here. Right here. Pretty rough right here. So check out where this Garmin Zumo XT2 will take you. I mentioned in a video before that when I first got to Arizona, I had no clue of anything in this around. And how I learned all the area and the trails and stuff that I have learned was by using the Garmin Zumo XT. I had that thing for 3 years. And without it, I would have never found what I found. I would have never learned it because it is so cool. Even if you're not using the navigation part, just to have the maps on there to be able to see the trails and see on here if it's one that just dead ends or if it's one that goes through. Really cool. Or if you're way off out somewhere and you went a lot of miles, you may be pretty close to a town, to a gas station, you can actually click on that and see where the fuel is in the closest one and click on it and go to it. Or click on home and take you home. If you don't know where you're at, this thing will take you home. The way I have this one mounted is with a motopumps mount to the handlebar, crossbar. It's a lot better, I think, than I did have it mounted on a ball mount right up here. But just the position, it wasn't dead center. It was just, it bounced around a lot and kind of moved. And this way here, this thing is solid. And this motopumps mount, you can actually lock it. It's got a pin, and you put a thing in there where you can lock it. Say if you go in to get gas and go in to pay or something, you don't have to worry about somebody stealing it. Now, they still could steal it if they were stupid and want to tear it off there and bust it. But as far as just taking it, it ain't so easy to just take off. So it's a really good mount, and the locking part is just a bonus, basically. And that's made by Motopumps. I'll post that in the description too. Definitely worth having. They got them to mount on different size bars. This is a 12 millimeter. And then I got one for my Trail 125 that is a 22 millimeter, I believe, which is a bigger bar. So some of the adventure bikes have this size. Some of them have the 22 millimeter. It's going to tell me in 0.7 miles, 0.7 of a mile, we're going to turn right on Van Horn. Or turn right to go to Van Horn. It's called Van Horn Spring. So far, so good. I definitely like the bright display. I have no problem at all seeing this on a full, so we're full sun right now. It's no problem at all. And I have it set on 80% brightness, so you could actually even go brighter. A little ways up in here, but it's a good trail. Definitely smell the cedar trees, or juniper, whatever they are. This also has a app in here called Great Rides, which is cool because you click on Great Rides. Oops, I was supposed to turn right there. Click on Great Rides, and it will show you different rides around the country. But the Great Rides is really cool to see different rides around your area or wherever the area is that you're going to be going. Okay, it shows that there's a Y up here too, and we take a right, like right here pretty soon. Let me zoom up. See, that's pretty cool. As rough as this is right here, and I can still zoom in and out of my map. This must be it right here. Well, this is going to be a rough one, I can tell you that. But as rough as that is, I could don't have to worry about taking my hand off the bars to mess with the GPS. I can actually do it right there with this controller. Sometimes I might call it remote. It actually is remote. It's a wired remote controller. Whoa. She's rocky. Rocky road. But as I said, without the Garmin Zumo XT that I had for 3 years, I ain't no way I'd ever found the stuff that I did. And this Garmin Zumo just has so many more features that I like. To me, it makes it worth the money to go ahead and buy the XT2 if you're wanting to buy one instead of the XT. Because I'm one, if I was to now buy an XT, and then later on I would be thinking that I wish I would have bought the XT2 later. Even though the XT is a great unit. So I'd rather save up a little bit longer and get the XT2 and be done with it. Arrive in 45 seconds. We must be pretty close. Shows my arrival time here. I'm headed southeast. Yeah, arrival time 42 seconds. So we got to be getting pretty close. So this makes a wonderful off-road GPS. And the cool part is this makes a great street GPS. I mean, I had it on the Go Wing. It works wonderful on the street. What I'd like to have is one on the Go Wing and one on here. But you can actually take this off real simple, pull it off and swap it from one bike to another and just have the mounts on each bike. And you could even put this, like I have a mount in my Jeep, I can put this in my Jeep too. Oops, hit my mirror. Arrival in 18 seconds. Ooh, that is bad right there. You wouldn't want to screw up and go off on that. It is washed out. We're here pretty much. Right here. Van Horn. Oh, there's the spring. This is it. Van Horn Spring. This is the end of it. I can see green right there. I know there's a spring right there. If you can see it on the camera, but there is a lot of green right there. Actually shows my flag is right on down here just a little bit. But this is the end of the road. Yep, that's the spring right there. Barely see some water right there, but it's running down through the canyon, all down through there. Super cool. Super cool, I made it. I reached my destination. We have 0 feet. We arrive in 0 seconds, 0 minutes. Super cool. So guys, this is pretty awesome. I really like this. So I do like it better than the XT, no doubt. But I want you to comment below, what do you think about the Garmin Zumo XT2 if you have one, or if you have a Garmin Zumo XT, how did you like it? What do you think? Would you want the handlebar controller? I really think it's a great addition, especially for off-road. On my Go Wing, I have the GPS right here. It's not too much a problem to touch the screen on it, but on this off-road, I really like the handlebar controller. Pretty dang cool. So we have finished our route. Now we can just click stop. Go back to our normal map. There it shows Van Horn. One really cool thing about this GPS is man, you don't have to use half your fingers. These are not touch gloves. You can use the backside. I can use anything on this, and it works. You don't have to have touch gloves to use this. You can use any kind of gloves pretty much, and it works good. I wish my phone was that way. It's just pretty cool. We can zoom in even further here. I don't know why I'm doing that when I got this fancy controller here. Works really good. Now I can't go side to side, but I can go to where I want and zoom in on it like that. This is Van Horn Road right there, and Van Horn Spring is right here where we're at, right here. And that I got this set to a green arrow. Now there we go, Van Horn Spring right there. So super cool. Okay guys, so there you go. That's a Garmin Zumo XT2 with the Garmin handlebar controller. Big twin thumbs up for me. I really like this. It's a good setup. Thank you all for watching Woodzman Adventures. Please click the thumbs up, subscribe down below, click that bell icon, and you'll be notified of when I put out a new video. Thank you all for watching. God bless. Ride on.